How can friends help friends avoid a bad divorce? If you are the friend, you may be asking, why do you need to get involved? Can't family or lawyers or the court help them? Too often the answer is no. I was talking to one of our local family court judges with over 30 years experience in family law not too long ago. I asked her how she can face angry people in court every day and how can we help them. She said, I love learning and I love teaching. And every day I learn something new someone is willing to do to hurt the one they used to love most. They need teaching. The other judge in our discussion, a new judge, said, sometimes I learn that sad, painful fact several times a day from many people. So what can friends do to help? First, remember many people who rush into divorce regret it. They regret it when it's become too late to stop it. So the first thing you can do is help your friend see if there's a way to save the marriage. Encourage counseling. Counselors or therapists can help people see how to act peacefully to reduce conflict. Second, don't abandon your friend completely, or your friend will get lost in the system. Be available to encourage your friend to get counseling or mediation. If you can do those two things, your friend will have a better chance than most to avoid extreme conflict. You have to remember that people who are in divorce face often overwhelming temptations and pressures to engage in conflict. Since the temptation to engage in conflict is overwhelming and conflict is harmful, especially to children, you need to stop and see who benefits, who hurts, what are the most likely consequences. Well, the most likely consequences are the children hurt the most. And before you know it, any conflict can become an escalating vicious cycle of conflict that neither ex can stop or control. Now, you don't have to take my word for it that friends are critical, often the only one who can help. Since it was my job as the leader of the local family law specialist group to work with those judges I mentioned earlier to see how we could improve the service of justice to people splitting up. I asked those judges if it made a difference, if there was less conflict, if the people had family or lawyers. They said no. Family's too close, too emotionally involved. Family needs to blame someone, so they blame the ex. Family often appears, consciously or not, to be the instigator. And lawyers seem not to understand their clients desperately need the right guidance to have realistic expectations. How do we know these people aren't getting or aren't understanding good advice? They said too many of these people can't see the right issues. They make bad choices to ask us to do things an objective person can see we can't, won't, or shouldn't do. Then these people get shocked, outraged, and even angrier when they get the most likely consequences or effects that they didn't see. When they're realistic, they can avoid conflict. So friends need friends to give some guidance. Friends are in a unique position because they've gained their friends' trust and confidence. Friends are usually more objective than family, and they care more than the lawyers. Friends can help their friends choose a wise, experienced advisor or guide, see how to evaluate advice, see the practical issues, choices, and effects or consequences of their actions. Too many people make bad divorce decisions every day, hurting their families. You want to test that fact? Walk into any busy family courtroom and watch. You'll see people hurting each other and not able to see what they're doing. Divorces can spin out of control without the right help, hurting the ones you love. But the right friend can change all that. You need to test that fact? Well, we've all heard of hostile divorces with extreme conflict. Look at any news stories of vicious divorces. You'll see all those people had families, and almost all those people had lawyers. But one thing they didn't have, the right friend. Don't get overwhelmed by how many ideas are here. You don't have to do all these things. I included more ideas so you'll find it easier to pick the one or two key things you can do to help. If you can do one or two of these helpful acts, you can help your friend. Please see what you can do to help your friend facing divorce see how to decide right. Your friend will never forget it, and you may help them avoid a tragedy. If they have children, you can save the children from a lifetime, or a long time, of great pain, confusion, and resentment. Thank you.